Hey guys, what's up? I hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to the new story of r/relationship advice. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for new future videos. Let's get started. Cheers.
Stories in today's video. 1. I found out my wife is cheating on me with her cousin. So, I served her divorce papers. 2. WIBTA for not telling my siblings about their true paternity and taking everything in my dad's will? The last couple of days have been a regular rollercoaster for me. TLDR version of my original post, I essentially discovered that my wife is and has been cheating on me with her own cousin Max for years. Actually, by the length of time this seems to have been going on, it might as well be seen as her cheating on him with me. Okay, I went to a lawyer initially, and after that I went straight to Max's home where I spoke with his wife. She was broken-hearted as one might expect and disgusted over the incest. We sat down for a bit and I told her also that he was bragging to my wife about how he was having unprotected s*x with random internet men and that there were pictures with him with semen on his face that he was sending my wife. She insisted on seeing them despite my advice not to, and she was broken. He was bis*schul and was always found to be chatting up random guys. She said she allowed him to go out every so often and see a man if he felt he had to get it out of his system, as she put it. She was under the impression that he hadn't done this in well over a year. When this was over, I stayed the night in a hotel where I still am and talked with my mother, brother, and father. My mill called me begging me to come and talk about this, that I must have made some mistake. It's all voicemail, I never picked it up. Wife tried calling me a dozen or so times, I didn't answer. She sent no texts. I*shum she knows of bin doc menting things and doesn't want to give me any more ammo. It's what I would do in her place. At the end of the day I called her and kept it brief, saying I would talk to her the next day. When I eventually came home she was a warbling mess. She tried to hug me and I told her that's over. She insisted she never cheated on me, that I must have took something the wrong way and that Max's wife must be spreading these rumors because they hate each other. It is at this point that I realize that my wife thinks I heard about this from someone else. She doesn't know I discovered their affair myself. It's then that I show her the papers. I have the pics of him with semen on his face titled, "Yummy," the picture of a huge strap-on dildo titled, "Our Old Friend," her speaking to him as if she is some dominatrix type, saying how he has a small DCK and real power play type stuff. At points she was telling him to send he pics of himself after these men were done with him. Real stomach churning sh*t. I'm not a prude either. I engage in a lot of really k*nkysh*t, so it's not like she's dealing with an uptight hubby who isn't open s*schuli and went out for those reasons. But anyway, as soon as she realizes that it was me who discovered this and told Max's wife, she goes from being weepy and sad to explosively angry, complete hysterics. You should have talked to me first. She's all over everything, telling everyone. This is going to ruin me. You knew she would do this. I told him to stop texting me like that. At that last statement, I absolutely exploded. I told her that I just got done reading a year's worth texts and emails and not once did she ever tell him to stop. I called her AF*C King degenerate, said that we both probably have AIDS now, and she crumpled in on herself. Couldn't respond, just crying hard. Even still I told her that we were getting divorced. I then called her father and told him to come to my house because she really shouldn't be alone in that state. I returned to my hotel room and saw that Max's wife had been texting me. She had done some intense digging on her own and found discussions about s*schul encounters they had from 2010, on f*C King MySpace. She told me early on in our relationship that he once tried to kiss her at 13, well they were actually f*C King at 16 or 15, or during a time where MySpace was still widely being used. I'll admit it, this seeing it went on that far back was finally what broke me. I'm not big on emotional displays, but I broke down crying in front of his wife. She cried too. When that was over I took her to the lawyer I'm seeing, and now one of his partners will be handling her divorce. Through all this Max has been panicking and crying, trying to find out where his wife is, trying to talk to me, still after all this evidence, trying to ensure this is all some big misunderstanding. It turns out that Max and ex-wife live in a house owned by Max's parents, and they have come down hard against their son, telling him he cannot stay there anymore, and apologizing to their dill and saying she's welcome to stay with their grandchild in that house for as long as she wants. He's basically disowned. Max's father even got it in his head somehow that Max was molesting my wife as a child, and that is why she is doing what she is doing today. She is his favorite niece, basically a second daughter, so Max in effect is on the lam because his old man wants him dead. My father, unprompted and wanting to help me, assured me he'd pay my hotel for the week. Today I told my boss point blank, no filter, exactly what's happened and that I am taking 2 weeks to sort my life out. He remarked about how *tty his divorce was and told me to take whatever time I needed bottle fed and that he'll just tell everyone on the floor I've got a sick parent or something, which was sweet of him, lying down in my hotel room now missing a stepson I'll probably never see again. I raised him for 6 years, changed his diapers, bottle fed him at 3 a.m., took time out of work when he was sick. Waited on him hand and foot after a nasty fall that broke his arm so his mother could sleep because she was working in the morning. The rest of this world could burn away to *C King Ash and I wouldn't blink or care, but the thought of never seeing him again rips away at me like nothing else. I need therapy, gonna take a hell of a lotta talking to get through this. I'm not a suicide risk, so no worries there. I'm an atheist, so this is the only life I got if I end it that, it lol. Talking to my lawyer on the phone later and we'll be meeting up with Max's so again because apparently there's more I don't know. Got a doctor's appointment tomorrow and then 6 damn months of waiting for results. Thanks for the support everyone. If more develops I'll do another update. This one is exceedingly long. I'm getting out all of my thoughts and well there are a ton. The TLDR bullet points. I will get weekend custody. My marriage was a sham cover for an incest affair. HIV test is negative, working together with ex-wife for a quick divorce. Neither of us are wealthy, so all we have to divide is 2 checking accounts and utility bills. We're in agreement on what belongs to who and who should pay what. Falling for the other survivor but not acting, because apparently I'm stupid enough to catch feelings in a time like this, but not stupid enough to ruin myself any further by pursuing her. So, first of all I'd like to say thank you for the gold and the hugs and the support from this community. I think I got the advice and input I was looking for, and at this point, I'm just doing another update so I can sort out my thoughts in a semi-public way so random strangers can call me out on my bullshit. I do listen and I do take what everyone said to heart, or at the very least consideration. So the link to my original posts is above, but I'll give you a TLDR anyway because like the first 2, this will probably be quite lengthy. A few weeks back I found texts of **shul nature on my wife's FB from her cousin. She claimed this just happened and she wished he would stop. I messaged him never to speak to her again under the pretense that this had been an unwanted advance. Turns out it wasn't. Turns out they've been **shully involved since 14 or 15, divorce happening. Okay, well a bunch has happened since the day or 2 days since my last update. First the good news, I got my HIV rapid test and it came back negative. Thought it would take days or months but literally learned in the same visit. I am going to get tested again obviously in the next few months, and for now I am going to live my life as if I do have it just to be extra careful. Max's wife, who I'll be calling Sherry from now on, accompanied me for support. Her own appointment is in 2 days. Well, I had the first long sit down with the soon-to-be ex-wife. We had an understandably explosive sit down earlier in the week and we've talked sparsely in between. I left this out but I've been calling her at my son's bedtime to say goodnight to him. At the moment he is under the impression that I'm just working a lot. Planning on telling him the truth in the following days, or truth good enough for a 6-year-old. Reconciliation was never on the table, she knew this, and didn't try to push it, which I was thankful for. Her reasons shouldn't concern me, they can't benefit me in any way, but giving myself to emotions for the moment I asked her to be truthful and tell me how long it's been going on and why, or if I did something that would push her to this. She looks like she's been crying on and off, but she was fairly calm in talking with me about it, and by how candid she was I can tell it's probably the truth and she's somewhat relieved to be talking about it in a weird and **CKED up way. Long story short, she's the instigator. She didn't say as much, but she's in love with him and they aren't together because obviously. I'm learning now that I'm basically the equivalent of one of those sham wives that gay men would marry so they could seem normal. That's pretty crushing. She insists she loved and loves me, but I don't believe it, nor does it matter anymore. My life for the past 6 years was a lie, probably just a cover for this bullshit. I don't know if I even know what real love, romantic love looks like, and that's got me more than a little f***cked up. She looked hurt seeing me hurt, but I don't know if it was real, not that it matters anyway. The important thing we discussed was my stepson and what we will do moving forward. Before I could say anything, she told me she wouldn't oppose something like weekend custody and would sign that in the divorce. I honestly think she is extremely remorseful about how this affects him. A lot of telling me I am his father, his only dad, and taking me away from him would be so damaging. We're going to tell him the bad news in a few days. Tomorrow or today, whenever I post this, I'll be taking him to the zoo. I was thinking of telling him after that, but he loves this zoo and I really don't want him thinking of his parents' divorce every time he sees it. It's tearing me up having to think of a way best to scar my child for life. I'm thinking about how to make it positive, like telling him how in my new apartment he'll have a new room and he can paint it how he wants and help me get stuff for it. Make him feel like he and I are a team, like a way to make this terrible sh*t fun. We aren't wealthy, so basically we're just going to keep what we have in our already separate accounts, divide up the remainder of our utility bills in a fair way, and just get the divorce. We discussed meeting at the courthouse and having me file divorce right in front of her so she can be served that minute. I want it over as fast as possible, and seeing as she's giving me the only thing I want, refusing the idea of child support, you didn't make him, and you didn't do this to him. As much as I hate her right now, I'm impressed that she seems to at least want to make amends for this. Maybe she just wants weekends off to screw her cousin, but honestly, as long as I get to remain a dad, I might as well have won today. In other related news, yesterday, or 2 days ago, whenever I post this, I went to visit Sherry, Max's soon-to-be ex, to see how she's holding up. When I arrived, Max's parents were there and were surprised to see me. I got a hug from my wife's aunt and she was crying and apologizing so much it almost made me cry. She was under the impression that I was never going to see my son again, which really upset her, because, and I didn't know this, but she used to love watching me play with my son at family gatherings. Basically, they are going to continue to allow Sherry and the baby to stay in their second home for as long as they like. Under the circ**m stances, Max will not be allowed there anymore and is basically disowned at this point. I'm not sure this was mentioned before, but the family seems to have gotten the idea that Max molested my wife and that this is some kind of abuse or Stockholm syndrome, and call me an *SS hole, but for the sake of my son's stability I will do nothing to correct them. If letting them believe this allows my wife to live at home with her folks and not having them fight over this in front of my boy, then I will omit this. Sherry is a mess, as one would expect. She has moments of being okay, followed by tears, followed by anger. The more she talks about subjects not related to this, the calmer she gets. Her family is going to be paying for her to see a therapist, and her brother is coming to the state for a week to be with her, and her mom is basically moving in with her for a month after that to try and help her cope. I got to feed her daughter today, such a cute kid, and melted away my anxiety for a little while. Last night my friends and I went to the movies and I asked her if she'd like to come along. I'm glad she came along, but I've also realized that I either need to put some distance between Sherry and I, or I need to talk with her about what I think is happening. Nothing has been said really, but she's casually touching me, which is something we never did prior to this. I had a tension headache and mentioned a knot in my neck, and unprompted she started rubbing my shoulders. Also unprompted, during my test when the doctor left the room she held my hand. It's probably all just me overthinking things due to my rejection, loneliness, and wanting to feel accepted, but I'm infatuated with her. Whenever I'm not obsessing over all the terrible things going on in my life, I find myself thinking of her in a romantic light, and while it's probably not healthy, feeling anything positive is preferable to feeling nothing but misery and doubt. Again, maybe I'm reading too much into this and I'm mistaking her emotional support as something more than it is, because my mind is f***cked, but she's acting toward me now, how past girlfriends and even the ex-wife did before I officially started seeing them. I mentioned it in the comments that I was trying to lighten the mood with my dark humor and said something like, I can't even go out and get a revenge lay without the possibility of killing someone. Referencing my HIV fears, and her response was to bring up the fact that if I am infected, by default she is most likely infected too, and that since our partners were sleeping together, in a gross way it's like she and I were already having s***x. There were a few moments after that and a look which I took to be an invitation, but I changed the subject. I should be thinking about more important things, but I'm getting distracted by this. Part of me, the smarter part, knows that a foundation like this is horrible, and acting on it might spell disaster for our upcoming divorces. On the other hand, I do have a real mental and physical attraction to this woman, one I'm 75% sure is mutual, and I fear that not acting will make her think I'm not open to this at any point and she'll move on and I'll lose another person who makes me happy. If anybody has an answer for this, goddamn help, lol. But huge digression aside, I still feel like I'm on the verge of a nervous breakdown, but the divorce seems to be going in a favorable for me. I will still be a dad. Oh, and where is Max in all of this? Nobody really knows, but he was couch surfing the first 2 nights with friends out of state. I, 38, have been NC with my dad and 2 younger siblings for many years. My dad always treated me like crap because he was convinced that my mom cheated on him, because she did, a lot, and trapped him into a *TTY marriage, and that I was not biologically his. For my 13th b-day my dad bought me a paternity test, and even though the test results came back that I am indeed his, he accused me, or my mother, of sleeping with the test guy. Lol. I have also done a ancestry DNA test and also matched with all his relatives, so I'm pretty sure that unfortunately he is my bio dad. I have known for a long time that my younger sister was not my dad's. When I did my ancestry DNA test, my sister wanted to get one too. My mom freaked out, admitted her indiscretion, and begged me to convince my sister that it was a waste of money and that she could just have a copy of my results. I did, because I thought I was protecting her and she was going through a rough time at the time. I recently got a notification about an ancestry DNA match. I looked it up and it looks like my brother's ex-wife got one of the kits for both of my brother's kids. And lo and behold, my brother's kids only seem to share relatives from my mom's side. FYI, my profile uses a screen name so she would not have recognized who I was. My brother and sister have been really *TTY to me for years. Comments about how I owed their dad for him putting a roof over my head as a child, and how dare I accept items from their grandmother's estate etc. I put up with it for years because they are younger and honestly not that bright. I thought that they'd come around eventually. My dad made sure in a drunken fight with my mother to give me a copy of his will, still have it, so that I knew that he had put a stipulation in there about his estate being divided amongst his biological children. I know that he has not changed his will since because his mental capacity has changed, TMI. WIBTA if I did not tell my siblings, and just let this play out at the will reading. Take everything, and kick them out of the family home? I would also be setting up funds for my nephew since my loser brother doesn't pay child support. My husband thinks that this is stooping to their level, as they both rely on his estate currently for survival. So this will ruin them. They have no education or way to support themselves currently.